Investigators are still looking into the motive for Tuesday's shooting spree at YouTube headquarters. A woman named Nasim Agdam from San Diego shot 3 people with a legally purchased 9mm handgun. They survived. Agdam turned the gun on herself, and police say that she was angry about YouTube's policies and practices.
Okay, so initially, I wasn't going to say anything about this topic. But, after hearing what happened on the YouTube campus, that was really just the last straw. I've seen so much going on with the gun control debate, and I want to give you my opinion on what I think's happening. First, let me state, I do not advocate for mass shootings. But in the same breath, let me also say, I believe American citizens, or citizens in general, have a right to protect themselves. I think it's dangerous to make synonymous taking away firearms with ending school shootings. I know there's a lot of people who think that math pans out, but simply taking one's firearm does not equal peace. There's no evidence to suggest that stripping an individual of their rights will make them any safer. Now let me just pause to state for those people who like to use Australia as an example, I'm not even making that argument. 1, the Australian gun grab did virtually nothing to stop violent crimes. 2, Australians don't enjoy some of the freedoms we do here in America, for example, the freedom of speech. Lastly, the gun grab didn't eliminate all firearms. There were some citizens who still had the legal right to own. Of course, I'll leave links in the description for you to check those statistics out on your own. But just that alone, saying just that alone, will cause friction and problems. Look, bottom line, we shouldn't be killing each other, but we don't live in a perfect world. We need to accept that. Let's also accept, once they do get the proper gun control, whatever that definition is, they're not going to simply stop at the AR-15. The reality is, people don't know that there is a lot of restrictions that go into place when it comes to purchasing a firearm, but there's an abundance of leniency when it comes with identifying individuals who might pose a threat to our society. If we're really going to tackle the issues that are at hand, we need to see this from outside the box. Let me just say this now, we are not going to find an effective resolution that satisfies both sides on this debate. In majority of cases, people are advocating for things they don't understand. If you think this is simply a black and white issue of take away all the guns and all the violence goes away, you're more short-sighted than you might realize. Politics has more than a single layer. No good crisis goes to waste. Just about anyone from the outside looking in can see that this is a division campaign meant to drive a wedge between the people. When you politically charge certain debates, it makes them almost impossible to talk about. There's an active push to foment discord within the psyche of the citizens, an agenda to keep the people fighting with each other so they don't come together and fight a common enemy. We are to protect ourselves from enemies both foreign and domestic. Unfortunately, the people's nemesis tends to fall under the category of the latter. Try this for yourself. Ask friends or family if they trust the government. You'd be surprised how many individuals say that they don't. You might also be surprised that those same individuals that say that they don't trust government, especially politicians, are willing to put laws in place that put the very people they don't trust in control of deadly weapons. And get this, if you don't comply with those laws, someone with a weapon comes to confiscate your weapon. If the war on drugs has taught us anything, it's that criminals don't have a hard time coming across criminal commodities. Continuing that line of thought, violent people are going to commit violent acts. That's just the reality of it. But what I find strange is that we don't see the media pushing ways or ideas to counteract mental instability. Frighteningly, I only see one idea being pushed as a silver bullet. But look, the intention of this video isn't to sway your views of guns one way or the other. It's to take a step back and see if there's something more going on here. I'm not saying this is the case right now, but if we look at history, we see where civilizations were disarmed right before a totalitarian regime. I don't know if you're having the same problem in other states, but here in California, people are at each other's throats. There are people here who are offended by almost anything. It's too easy to step on toes. That's really what this is about. It's about getting people to the point where they don't want to talk about anything controversial. There are networks of individuals sponsoring division campaigns. There's no reason to believe this isn't part of it. Let's think about that possibility. The possibility that, in our malleable mental state, politicians would be trying to take advantage of that. Completely unfathomable. But let's just be intellectually honest, again. These aren't necessarily people that have the public's best interest at heart. Mind you, there are some good people out there in the political world, but that system alone is designed to morally bankrupt. If we're talking about those with their hands on the real levers of power. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. We wrestle against principalities, powers, spiritual wickedness in high places, the rulers of darkness of this world. So yeah, I believe that there's something a lot bigger going on here than just men in business suits trying to plot the end of the world. I think this is more than uninformed liberals trying to take the guns. But let's go ahead and call it quits there. I'll leave information down in the description below. Thanks for checking me out.